Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. It's been a while since we've checked out an interesting monitor, but this new one from MSI tries to do two things really well. Be an excellent gaming monitor and be very affordable, but can it actually pull both of those things off? Because in this video, we're gonna take a look at MSI's brand new 27-inch panel, the spiritual successor to the wildly popular MAG274 QRF-QD, the brand new MSI Optix G274 QPF-QD. It's a 1440p 170Hz panel that is NVIDIA G-Sync compatible at about 60% of the cost of its predecessor. Let's check it out. I've been using this panel for about a week and I've played with it quite a bit. So I think I've given this panel a properly good run so I can give you my opinions on everything that I feel is right and wrong with this monitor. Also, just quickly, we use chapters in all of our monitor videos and basically all of our videos. So if you want to jump to a certain part of a video, you can use the chapter markers to save yourself a bit of time if there's like something you really want to know about. Otherwise, just watch it all the way through. Let's kick this MSI Optix G274 QPF-QD video off by talking about the numbers and the stats for people who are that way inclined. It features a 27-inch rapid IPS quantum dot panel with a resolution of 2560 by 1440 with a peak brightness of around 400 nits. It also features a 170 Hz refresh rate and a Greater Gray response time of 1 millisecond. It is NVIDIA G-Sync compatible and it works pretty well. It supports 150% of the sRGB color space, 95% of the DCI-P3 color space, and 93% of the Adobe RGB color space. That's pretty impressive for a monitor in this price range, and that's one thing I really need to drill in for a monitor in this price range. The monitor has a 178-degree wide viewing angle with a 1000:1 contrast ratio as well. It does support display HDR 400, and if I'm being honest, although it doesn't have the peak brightness of really good HDR and of wildly better HDR panels, the implementation here is not terrible. It's actually quite usable and I didn't hate it. It's got two HDMI 2.0B ports as well as DisplayPort 1.4 with DisplayPort overclocking as well. It's also got USB Type-C, which works as DisplayPort. It does up to 15-watt charging through USB-C for compatible devices, but unlike the MAG274 QRF-QD, this panel does not have any USB pass-through. So that means there's no additional USB ports on the monitor, so you can't plug your stuff directly into the monitor. There's no speakers here at all, but it does have a headphone jack. Now, going back to HDMI, I did notice that when using HDMI, you won't be able to get that full 170 Hz refresh rate because HDMI doesn't support overclocking and DisplayPort does, basically. And I mean, that's the really simple way to explain it. There is a bit more technically to it, but that's just how it is. Also, if you're using HDMI, you get a 4K option for your resolution because the G274 QPF-QD is compatible with consoles like the PS5 and Xbox Series X that will take advantage of that mode. But be aware though, this is not actually 4K. It just has the resolution there. It's still 1440p. The other thing to take note is that the PS5 actually supports 1440p now anyways, so you may or may not use this, and this may or may not be useful to you whatsoever, but it is there just in case. The build quality is good and the aesthetics on the front of the panel has been dialed back considerably compared to other MSI panels. Now, it's got that standard zero bezel design that MSI has had for a long time. Gone are the gamery aesthetics and the RGB. I always thought that RGB on monitors was a bit weird to begin with. The stand is fully height, tilt, swivel, and rotation adjustable. And the G274 QPF-QD also has standard 75mm VESA mounting, so you shouldn't have any issues with mounting this panel if you've got an existing monitor arm solution. Because this is an IPS panel, the colors are rich and vibrant, and I found it to be very pleasing on the eye. The out-of-the-box calibration is spot on for a gaming monitor and for gaming and general use in general. Does that make sense? Now, this is the real strength of this panel. It is just really good out of the box. As for extended usage periods, I reduced this monitor's brightness to around 20% because I found that that was more than adequate, especially in dark rooms. Like when I'm testing in here, I usually have all the lights off. It's not as bright as it is in here. And usually I would recommend that if you're gaming in a darker environment. You don't want the full brightness because you will strain your eyes. Now, this monitor from MSI also has that little 5-way joystick on the back, and the menu system is really easy to understand. And this is the same menu that MSI has used for quite a few years here. So if you've seen this in the past, you're gonna be familiar with it. Otherwise, for a newbie, it's gonna be easy to use as well. In regards to adaptive sync, we didn't encounter many issues with this display at all, but I'm pretty impressed with the implementation here in general. Now, there is one thing that I noticed while playing MW2 with this monitor that came up, and I've seen this with a couple other monitors with G-Sync as well. Let me just show you this rather than explaining it because it's gonna make a whole lot more sense. This is what I noticed. It's very bizarre. And I actually saw this with MW, or the original Modern Warfare 2019, and another monitor with G-Sync. Check this out, right? Move my mouse over to start the benchmark, and you can just see the brightness completely shift with HDR enabled. It doesn't do it in a normal match. The second I go into the benchmark, it starts to do this. Now the game plays no problem whatsoever. That's not the issue, but I did think this was a bit weird. This might just be a bug with the game. It doesn't do it in DMZ either. Yeah, it just doesn't do it in any other game mode, except for the benchmark. What am I on, a 2 exfil streak? Oh, that's kind of lame. I just play DMZ to kill other operators. I don't play to do the missions. I've done some, but not many. I also did notice that with HDR and HDMI, that the text becomes a little bit weird in Windows, but I don't think that alone is a deal breaker. And if you're using a PC, you've actually got no reason not to use DisplayPort anyways, unless you're using a really old graphics card that doesn't have DisplayPort, but that's a topic for another video. For console gaming, this is actually not an issue at all. I didn't find any readability or legibility issues here at all. Also, there's something that I wanted to mention that I thought was quite bizarre. I didn't expect this. When I was testing this with HDMI at 144 Hertz and I switched it to 170 Hertz over DisplayPort, for the first time in a long time, I could actually feel a noticeable difference. This was not a placebo, and it was just far more responsive. It's odd, I just haven't felt that in a while with monitors. To be very honest, there isn't much to dislike about the MSI Optix G274 QPF-QD. I think MSI has done a really good job, and MSI is continuing to make really, really good monitors. It does what it says on the box. It's a gaming monitor, but it's a bit more than that. It's an excellent gaming monitor, especially for the price. This MSI panel is definitely a display you should consider if you want a good gaming monitor and one that you can use for light content creation as well, because the calibration here is pretty good. I honestly think that MSI has done a very good job with this panel. It has some really great things going for it. The feature set is good, the design and the execution is good, and I think that makes up for its very minimal weaknesses. Now, if you're interested in grabbing the MSI Optix G274 QPF-QD, they're going for around 469 Aussie dollars. If I had to guess, I would say this is going for anywhere between 300 and 350 US dollars. If we put that price into perspective in Australia against the MAG 274 QRF-QD, they were going for around 860 Aussie dollars at launch. This is objectively a much better panel, and that is a huge price gap. As for the retail launch for the G274 QPF-QD in other regions, I asked MSI about this and they said the general availability should be sometime in February. Honestly, guys, this is a monitor that you should definitely keep your eye on, because this could be one of the most important, the most in-demand and most sold out monitors this year. It really is excellent value for the money for both console gamers and PC gamers alike. MSI has done an excellent job with this panel. If you guys got any questions about anything I talked about in this video, feel free to drop a comment down below and let us know what you think about this new panel from MSI. I really enjoyed my time playing with it, and it's a properly good panel. And to be honest, I reckon you guys are gonna feel the same way about this too, because here's a little known fact. When we do videos like this, people who buy stuff will come back to the video as kind of a confirmation that they did the right thing, and they will comment, say, hey, I bought this and I loved it. And I just feel like people are gonna say the same thing about this panel too. I also wanted to add that we keep our monitor content in a nice and easy to digest format for people who might not be as technically inclined as everyone else, and I just wanted to make it a bit easier for the regular user to understand and to find useful. And we leave decisions about buying anything in your hands, right? We keep it simple. Not everyone's an expert. That's what we're here for, to make that easy for you guys. Also, if you want the wallpaper featured in this video, I'll put a link to that down below in the description. If you like this video, do your thing. Please like and subscribe. Tell us what you liked about everything. I don't know, how does the end of a YouTube video work again? I don't know. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peak, we seek, and MSI has done an excellent job with this panel. Really, really good stuff.